All right, let's get straight into it. If you're a Malaysian SME owner, I've got a critical question for you. Is your website just another line item on your expense sheet, or is it your single most valuable digital asset? Today, we're going to break down exactly why it's the second one, why it's the absolute cornerstone of your business's future.
So, I want you to really think about this for a second. If your business lives entirely on Facebook or Instagram or maybe a big e-commerce marketplace, you don't actually own your online home. You're just a guest, a tenant really. You're building your entire business on someone else's land. And you know what happens when you're a tenant, right? The landlord can change the rules, hike up the rent, or heck, even kick you out without warning.
And that brings us to this crucial idea, the difference between rented land and owned land. On social media, the rented land, your branding is limited. You have zero ownership of your customer data, and your reach can literally vanish overnight because of some algorithm change you can't control. A website, though, that's your land. You own it. You have total control. You own every single piece of customer data, and every ounce of effort you pour into it builds real, long-term value for your business. It's an asset that grows.
Now here's just how big of a deal this is. A staggering 77% of Malaysian SMEs are caught in what experts call the computerization trap. What does that mean? It means you've got a Facebook page, you're posting on Instagram, but that tech isn't actually making your business stronger or more efficient. It's just digital noise. And frankly, it leaves you incredibly vulnerable.
So how do you break out of that trap? You build trust. And here in Malaysia, trust has a very specific look and feel online. A professional website is the only place you can nail this checklist. We're talking about proudly displaying your SSM number, integrating WhatsApp so people can chat with you instantly, showing those familiar logos like FPX and Touch and Go. These are the signals that shout to a Malaysian customer, hey, we're a real, legitimate business you can count on.
Let's just double-click on one of those trust signals for a moment. Think about this number. A massive 90% of all internet users in Malaysia are on WhatsApp. And because of that, having a click-to-chat button on your site isn't just a cool feature anymore. Nope. It's an absolute expectation. It's basically the modern version of the little bell on a shop's front door. If you don't have it, you're creating friction, you're creating doubt. It's such a simple, powerful advantage that only your own website can really deliver.
Okay, so we've covered credibility. That's your defense. But how does that credibility turn into growth? That's your offense. Well, you start seeing your website not as some static online brochure, but as your hardest working salesperson. I'm talking about a sales machine that works 24/7, bringing in business, qualifying leads, even when you're sound asleep.
And look, here's that 90% number again, but this time it represents your single biggest opportunity for growth. It's estimated that 90% of your competitors are totally ignoring local SEO. You know, that's how people find businesses when they search for Best Tailor in JB or Cafe Near Me on Google. This means the field is wide open for you to just swoop in and dominate those local search results.
But you know, getting people to your site is only half the battle. A truly great website doesn't just sit there looking pretty, it tells people exactly what to do next. It uses clear, powerful calls to action, or CTAs. Big, obvious buttons that say request a quote, download our catalog, or shop now. These things are designed to do one job and one job only. Turn a passive browser into an active, qualified lead for your business. Now, of course, this all leads to the big question. Okay, what's this going to cost me? So here are some typical one-time investment levels you'll see in Malaysia. But the most important thing I can tell you is to stop thinking of this as a cost. It's not. It's a capital investment in a business asset. So the real question is, what's the return on that investment? Let's dive into some real-world examples.
Let's start small and local. Imagine a tukang jahit, a tailor in Johor Bahru. They invest Rm 3,300 for their very first simple website. The goal is simple: get found by people in their area.
Now, thanks to that local search visibility, the site brings in just 2 new customers every month. Let's say an average order is about Rm 150. Doesn't sound like a lot, right?
Well, after breaking even in the first year, the projected return on investment for the second year, when the website is already fully paid for, is a massive 350%.
That's the compounding power of owning your asset.
Okay, let's scale up. Now we've got a B2B manufacturer in Penang. They go bigger, investing $18,000 in a serious strategic website designed purely to generate high-value leads.
The website goes to work and attracts 72 qualified leads. With their product, they only need to convert a tiny fraction of those, just under 4 new clients, to bring in $180,000 in new revenue.
That's a 900% return on their investment in the first year alone. For any business with a high customer value, a proper website isn't just helpful, it is an absolute game changer.
All right, one last case. A popular online sample seller. They're doing well, but they're tired of paying huge fees to marketplaces. So they invest $8,000 to build their very own e-commerce store.
So what happens? By selling directly to their customers, their fees plummet from a painful 15% marketplace commission down to a simple 3% payment gateway fee. That 12% difference saves them over $14,000 in the first year, just on savings.
Just that savings alone gives them an 80% return on their investment. But what's the real prize here? For the first time, they own all of their customer data. They can build direct relationships, market to them again and again, something that is totally impossible on rented land.
So, feeling motivated? Wondering how you get started? It's actually a pretty simple 4-step roadmap. First, be crystal clear about your business goal. What do you want the site to do? Second, budget for it like a long-term asset, not a one-off cost. Third, find the right partner who understands your goal. And finally, make sure you bake in all those high-trust essentials we talked about from day one.
Okay, I know exactly what you're thinking right now. This all sounds great, but what about the upfront cost? Even seeing it as a smart investment, that initial cash outlay can feel like a huge hurdle for an SME. It's the #1 concern for most business owners. I get it.
Well, hold on, because this might be the best piece of news you hear all day. The government wants you to make this investment, and they are willing to meet you halfway, covering up to 50% of the cost. It's called the SME Digitalisation Grant, or the Giran Digital PMKS Madani. It's a matching grant that provides 50% of the funding up to a cap of $5,000, specifically for things like building an e-commerce website. This literally cuts your investment in half and makes getting a truly professional asset-building website more accessible than it has ever been.
So, let's just end with this thought. Right now, the vast majority of your competitors are trapped. They're building their future on rented land that they don't own and can't control. You now have the business case, you've seen the ROI models, and you know there's government support to help you. So the only real question left is this: are you ready to stop being a tenant and start building your own digital cornerstone?